Bitcoin right now is up roughly 14%, about almost $4,700 after over the weekend it hit $31,000. The reason I said talk about timing is CoinDesk's annual Bitcoin cryptocurrency conference, Consensus 2021, is underway right now. And joining us to talk about some of the themes that are taking place in crypto right now, we invite into the stream Christine Lee, CoinDesk anchor. And we're going to talk about some of the headliners who've already addressed the conference, because Ray Dalio was there, spoke for about an hour, talked about the fact that he owns Bitcoin. And here's a little bit about what he said about where the United States is headed regarding perhaps monetary policy.
We know we're going to need a lot more money, a lot more debt, and this is all the cycle. You need the more money, you have to print that. You need more money, so taxes go up, and that produces the dynamic. Now, I can keep going on about what happens in that dynamic. It may be capital controls. You start to go to things where that money wants to go someplace, and it goes to almost anything else. Particularly at all that time, I learned in 71, painfully learned in 71, that it causes like stocks to go up. It causes everything. We can deal with the mechanics of the stocks, gold, Bitcoin, real estate, everything to go up, because it's really going down in dollars. And that's the part of the cycle we're in.
Christine, got to listen to someone like Ray Dalio, right?
Love hearing from Ray Dalio. He is one of our keynote speakers here at Consensus by CoinDesk, week-long conference, very busy. But he was in that clip talking about cycles, and he did a deep dive of the US dollar, the British pound, and the Dutch guilder before that. And he saw a pattern of currency supremacy cycles. The first one being financial creation of debt. And that's what we're seeing now with the printing of money, with a lot of debt being created in the United States and by central banks around the world. The second cycle being socioeconomic political gaps. And we're seeing that with the liberals and extreme conservatives, the social tensions that exist therein. And the third cycle he mentioned was the rise of a great power to challenge the existing power. And we're seeing that, he said, with China as a rising superpower. And so in terms of injecting credit, that is a short-term stimulative, Dalio said. And long-term, it's a depressant. So you have to be willing to pay back the debt that you create, and it becomes difficult to do that over time. So Dalio reiterated his cash is trash slogan, and that looming inflation is ahead. So with so much money out there, governments are creating a lot of credit, banks are printing a lot of money. There's no incentive to hold this money, and that's causing a lot of inflation, and everything's going up, including stocks. We're seeing that with real estate. We're seeing that with Bitcoin, and that's because the dollar is going down.
And Christine, you mentioned cycles, and speaking of cycles, Bitcoin prices have tended to be rather cyclical as well. And we've been getting some comparisons between the plunge in prices we saw over the past week to what we saw after that rally in 2017. And based on your reporting, what are market participants really making of this past week's volatility? Is this set to continue, or is this just a minor pullback?
When you're in Bitcoin, buy the ticket, take the ride. You're used to volatility, and that's the name of the game. This is similar to the 2013 bull run as well as the 2017 bull run. And in those cases, we did see a lot of volatility. And in this case, I mean, it's been blamed on Elon Musk. It's been blamed on China with the regulations and the government's kind of scaring the markets there a little bit. We also saw a lot of over leveraging in the markets, and that was that led to a sell-off amid margin calls as the price went down. And so in terms of Bitcoin, this is cyclical. This is what happens, and it's expected.
The headliners are quite impressive. You also had Federal Reserve Governor Lael Brainerd, and she was talking about a central bank digital currency. In fact, here's what she said, and we'll get your comments on the other side.
If stablecoins were to be widely adopted and served as the basis of an alternative payment system oriented around new private forms of money, there's a real risk that you could see fragmentation of the payment system and that you could see consumer protection and financial stability risks because of the risk of run-like behavior.
And yet she is an advocate of safe central bank money. What else did she say?
Well, it's important to the Federal Reserve, according to Governor Brainerd, that they follow CBDC innovation, central bank digital currency innovation, and that includes cross-border payments. So the U.S. wants to be at the table to develop international standards and remain on the frontier of that innovation. So they do expect greater competition among stablecoin issuers that are private as well as China. But she actually encouraged that innovation, saying, you know, for this tech to flourish, you need competition, you need that innovation. And so she anticipates the Fed to have international collaboration to prevent any illicit activity, which is a concern among regulators. They want to complement the existing banking system, but not replace bank accounts, which is at odds with many in the crypto industry who are very libertarian and actually want disintermediation. But Brainerd wants to prevent disintermediation, or rather the Federal Reserve does. They want banks to serve as an important role to credit mediation, and they want to advance financial inclusion. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans are considered underbanked. So they're conducting research, the Federal Reserve Tech Lab Group, as well as the Fed Reserve Boston, in collaboration with MIT's Project Hamilton. They're working on a central bank digital currency white paper that will be released next quarter on tech design as well as coding and innovation.
And then, Christine, with the adoption or potential future adoption of these stablecoins, do you see this posing a risk potentially to existing cryptocurrencies, or do these digital currencies sort of operate in their own space separate from this?
Yeah, we actually asked Governor Brainerd on that. And again, she said that she sees stable coins created by private entities as well as other countries augmenting, complementing the existing system. She doesn't see cryptocurrencies or stable coins taking over the current digital, the US dollar or the current global reserve currency. She sees it as complementary to the existing system. And we'll see how that plays out.
We should point out that the CoinDesk conference, Consensus 2021, continues this week. Thank you for joining us, Christine Lee, CoinDesk anchor. Good to see you.